Hello there! My name is Enchanted, and welcome back to Metroid Terraria Part 4. As a quick recap from my last few videos, the two main things I did were I defeated the King Slime. I only did it for his mask, and I didn't even get it, and before that, I defeated the first Metroid boss named Terraria, and he took me 15 minutes of my life that I will never ever get back. And along the way, I found many neat trinkets that will help me on my journey. The enchanted sword, somehow, a godly shoomerang, the Metroid arm cannon and grapple beam, platinum armor, and an Unreal boomstick. And all of this modded playthrough is being done in Master Mode, so strap in, I got a lot done this episode. Oh, by the way, we have chapters in this series, and we in Chapter 11! Listen, I know I've used this song in a video before, but it's not like anyone saw that video anyway, and if you have any good instrumental songs to recommend me to use, then please say so in the comments. To start things off, I simply begin by stalling. I am realistically ready for my next boss fight already, Mr.Eye. I have platinum armor and pretty good weapons and an arena, so to quite literally stall for time for this video, I decided I needed to make a beach house for some reason, so that's what I did. I'm sure this journey won't be annoying in any way. Oh wait, it already is. Okay. You know, to my surprise, I've still not seen a single floaty boy.
Hello there.
I had to say something, didn't I? Get me the hell out of this place. Thank God. Okay. After a very, very long walk, I made it to the dungeon. I can't do anything with it yet, but it's kinda cool, I guess. After even more walking, I make it to the second corruption biome, and this wasn't going to be the first time I made this walk either. Once I had finally made it to the beach, I began constructing the house as quickly as possible, because it hadn't been night for a while, which meant I was going to be in trouble soon. It also would be incredibly awkward if, you know, it was turning nighttime right about now, and I'd have to start building this house in the middle of the fighting zombies. You know what? I built the desert house in the middle of a sandstorm. I've been through worse. Bring it. And bringing it, the game sure did. Building this house during the day would have been amazing, but it appears that is no longer an option. Constructing the base of the house is very tedious, but once I finally got a roof over my head and some doors to my sides, it wasn't so bad. But I wasn't here to waste time, so I attempted to the best of my abilities to finish the house even with waves of enemies outside. At one point I also found this guy, and I'm sure everyone is always happy to see him, and I freed him from his ropes, and I don't expect that he'll be a problem anywhere down the line. Anyway, now that you've experienced sarcasm at its finest, it's finally turning daytime. Once the house was finished, I decided I needed to figure out something to do while I waited for NPCs to spawn so I can make a pylon. So I went ahead and made a little fishing spot. And then the painter arrived, one to go, and later this— what? Who are you? I didn't explain you in my first video. So, explaining time. To not dump so much information as to what mods I was using, I didn't explain everything in the first video. This is Flan the Deviant from the Fargo's Mutant mod. In short summary, this mod is a quality of life mod that makes various adjustments and additions across the game to provide information and convenience. In other words, he sells mob spawners to make my experience less grindy. Once I had finished the fishing spot, I ran into a little bit of a problem. The NPCs were not selling me a pylon. This is because of a little fun mechanic called happiness. Basically, these NPCs rather don't like living here, or they don't like living with each other. So I'm going to have to get a set of 3 NPCs that do like each other. And not too long after placing a table and a chair in the fishing room, something rather unfortunate happened. A man spawned in that would rather live anywhere but the ocean because he likes chopping trees. So I decided it would be a good idea to make an NPC housing right next to the dungeon so that in the event that I die when fighting Skeletron in the future, I have a spawn house right next to the dungeon. Once I had made it, Flint instantly took the house because I broke this table, so now I have to run all the way back to see if an NPC spawns that likes his conditions, and then move the woodworker. By the way, that run takes about 7 minutes and I had to do it 3 times. But anyway, I moved the ghost from the Metroid mod into the beach house and then teleported all the way back to the main base to put in the woodworker. So now I have to run all the way back to the beach house in hopes of the ghost liking his conditions to give me a pylon. So when I said this was going to be pain earlier, I meant it.
Looks like there's been a change of plans.
So yeah, by the way, the Fargo's Mutant mod introduces not 1 NPC, but 2. I'm not going to explain this one quite yet, but basically he's a problem. I highly doubt the mixture of the fisherman, the ghost, the painter, and this new guy will be good all at once, so now there's been a change of plans. So now the plan is I'm going to make a snow base specifically for all of the modded NPCs to live in, and hope whatever new NPCs spawn at the ocean base like their conditions to give me a pylon. In theory, if this plan works out, I'll have a snow base with a pylon and an ocean base with the pylon. But unfortunately for me, I have to do all of this in the dark again. Once the house is finished, I put all of the modded NPCs in and began my journey back to the ocean base. Once I got there, I basically had nothing to do but wait for a new NPC to spawn, and yeah, I just kind of waited and waited and waited. Am I a joke to you? So yeah, I continued to wait, but this time with some friends, and I'm just going to take a pause here just to let you take this in. Anyway, I decided waiting wasn't doing it for me, so I went all the way back to the sand base to place down that pylon, and then decided it was boss time. And we're finally here, where all Terraria playthroughs truly begin. For those of you unfamiliar with him, this is Mr.Eye. Normally he isn't much of a challenge, but we're on Master Mode, so it kind of is now. But what makes him so special is that he's considered the first Terraria boss, despite my favorite Slimy Boy being the first one, and he is no tough cookie to break with ease. The way that he fights you is he charges you with contact damage, my favorite, and spits little mini eyeballs out of his face. If I let him spawn too many, they'll begin to swarm me, which is why my Unreal Boomstick is perfect for this boss fight, because he can't spawn any, and if I do start to get swarmed, all I have to do is use my Jester arrows. And just like that, we're in second phase. In this phase, Mr.Eye turns into more of a Mr. Mouth, and instead of spitting eyeballs out of his face, he instead goes all out on his contact damage. It might not seem threatening right now, but eventually it turns into him becoming the Flash, and that's when his damage output really amps up. And because he starts zooming all over the place, it becomes really hard to hit him with anything but ranged weapons. So I decided to switch to my arm cannon and use missiles. If you remember from one of my previous episodes, I picked up an item called Lock-On Missile, and it does exactly what it says on the tin, and what I want it to do in this boss fight. Even if Mr. Mouth is zooming around like crazy, the Lock-On Missile will hit him no matter what, so instead of waiting for him to stop, I can just keep attacking him. Okay, you know what, I was fully expecting to lose that. I don't know how I won that easily. Getting the shotgun ammo was so worth it, especially at the start when he was spawning stuff. Very good. Huh, I did not mean to drop that. Okay. Got the mask, Demon Eye, that's pretty much the whole point of doing that. And the shield. Okay. As a quick explanation to what the shield does, it basically increases your defense and also gives you a dash attack that's useful for attacking enemies and also dodging attacks. When I realized I defeated the Eye with ease, I did it 2 more times. Now that the Eye has been defeated, I continue to try to set up my bases to have pylons, so I ran all the way back to my snow and ocean base to see if they were selling them now. And ka-ching! Not only was the new NPC I mentioned earlier selling the pylon, but he was also selling a whole bunch of other useful things. This is Grim from the Fargo's Mutant mod. Basically, he sells you boss summons that you fought before, so if you fail, you can summon them back with ease. But I wasn't here for that, I was here for the pylon, and man, does placing it feel well earned. You hear that? That's the sound of victory. And then when I finally got back to the ocean base, I did the exact same thing, and then just in case you're wondering, it felt just as good. To end the episode off, I decided it would be a good idea to fight the Queen Bee. If you remember from my last episode, I mentioned that I needed to defeat the Queen Bee to be able to acquire the very useful Spazer Beam. Well, technically I don't have to defeat the Queen Bee, I can just kill dragon hornets or get lucky and find it under the jungle, but that's less impressive. So thus I began my descent back down into arguably the worst biome in the game to find myself a hive. Well, would you look at that, 2 dragon hornets, maybe I don't have to fight the Queen Bee after all. Just kidding, I didn't mention that the item I need to craft the Spazer Beam drops from Dragon Hornets, but it's incredibly rare. I could get lucky and just find it in a Chozo statue, but that might as well be as rare or more, so I actually do have to fight the Queen Bee. And literally not too long after that, I found the hive. And promptly started making an arena. In all my time playing Terraria, I have never seen a better hive to fight the queen bee in. It's practically perfect. Most hives in Terraria are really small, and make it difficult to maneuver and dodge around while battling, but this arena was practically perfect. Now I just need to not mess up and die. And once the arena was set, it was fight time. Here we go. Oh, son of a... The fight began very quickly, and I noticed I was getting hit more often than not. The Queen Bee is an interesting boss because, like the Eye, it hits you with contact damage and spawns in mini versions of itself. And she has a kick-ass music track. Not only is the Queen Bee difficult to defeat, I am also very stupid. I had forgotten to restock my missiles back at my base, and I can't rely on them here. And also, if you remember from my last video, I mentioned this funny looking item that looks like cabbage that prevents poison that I had forgotten to equip. So yeah, that was stupid. Arguably Queen Bee's most iconic attack is her charging attack. That she usually does point blank, and that's completely fair. And balanced. Stop hiding into walls. Ow, that was fast. Ow. Even with the shotgun, the bees are just so hard to hit. I can't hit her. That's right, Mr. Anch completely forgot that he has a sword that could quite literally deal with his tiny bee problem. If you haven't noticed yet, I had completely thrown away the perfect Queen Bee arena because I am an idiot. Ah! That was such a perfect one, too. I had an item to prevent poison, I just forgot. And just like that, we have to end on a loss. If you enjoy my content in any capacity, please do all of the YouTube things, including subscribing. It helps me a ton to grow, and with that, I hope you have a good rest of your day.